Hello and welcome to Health Exposure. My name is Kurt Hill and I'm your host for this evening. We have an interesting show, especially for you adults who haven't really done your ABCs lately. Deborah Arneson, our guest this evening. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Kurt.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
We're going to do ABC, ABCs of nutrition, right? Which means get down to the basics.
Right.
Okay. All right. What are the ABCs of nutrition? I had to ask.
Well, the ABCs of nutrition are the basics. Like you said before, it's like what is a protein, what is a fat, what is a carbohydrate, where do they come from, what are the best ones to eat, what do they do for you, and how much is enough?
Okay,
that's what we're going to cover tonight.
Glad I asked. And this will be a series of 12 shows. No.
This will go on and on.
I'm telling you, what is a balanced nutrition all about?
Well, a balanced nutrition setup for a person is about balancing proteins to fats to carbohydrates. And the problems with most Americans, as you know, Kurt, just from us talking as much as we do, is that Americans consume way too many carbohydrates, and those carbohydrates tend to be what we call dead or empty calorie foods or doughy foods. And doughy foods tend to make people doughy. So what we're doing here in America is people are following the food pyramid, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. And what we're looking at is people who are consuming great amounts of what we call pastas and breads and bagels and coffee and diet sodas and colas are basically consuming dead foods that bring nothing to the table nutritionally, that will give them absolutely no nutritional benefits like loads of vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals, which we'll get into too.
I see. What is a high nutrient dense diet?
Well, I hope it's a catchphrase that's going to catch on actually. A high nutrient dense diet means that the foods that you choose to put into your body are whole live foods, and they contain vital amounts of nutrients. You know, so this apple or this orange or this big, plate of paella with whole grain rices and lean fish, and non-creamy sauces will bring to your body a great deal of energy. Foods are energy to us. They're our gas in our tank, so to speak. You have a car, you put gasoline in it. You can put in, leaded, you can put in unleaded, you can put in premium high octane. And the same goes for food. You can put in foods that just take up space. They're bulk, they're dense, they're filling.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or you can put in foods that give you a little bit of, supplementation to your diet, that give you some live nutrients. Or you can give yourself foods that are just packed with live nutrients. So the more live nutrients we get, the happier your cells are. The more your cells are just rebounding with excitement, and they become motivated by these vital nutrients, vitamin C, B1, B2, B6, B12, folic acid, which are found in our grains and our beans and legumes, and our meat products, our red meat products. Our minerals are loaded, just found loaded in our meat products, providing, most of those are organic. That also helps a little bit. Anything that's grown in soil is supposed to be high in minerals. However, since we've overburdened our soils with pesticide residues and different kinds of insecticides and whatnot, we've wiped out available minerals. But minerals are found primarily in organic foods, and again, anything that comes out of the earth.
Oh, I see.
So
how can I put this? What can a live food diet do for someone?
Well, a live food diet is...
You knew I had to come back to that.
Yeah.
You start with live and dead and this, and we'll cover this, folks. If you're confused.
Live food diet can make a world of difference, Kurt. I'll tell you just some real quick, interesting case studies. You know that I work in my practice as a clinical nutritionist, so I see people every single day who are live people who are not doing so well, actually.
Okay.
We'll just give you a case in point. I had a sweet woman who came in about 3 weeks ago, and she's going through chemotherapy, and she's only 38 years old. Cancer popped up in her breast, and then it spread to her lymphs, and she has a couple tumors in different places. And the doctor told her she has to stay on chemotherapy for the rest of her life, which is pretty amazing.
My goodness.
I've not heard of this, but
no.
she didn't speak English extraordinarily well. But we spoke, and after a while, I came to realize she had 5 places where different tumors were growing in the system. She has 3 little kids. Just a sweet lady. So her chemo knocks her out of the box so badly that she can't function for 8 days after she has chemo. And she has 2 types. One is she has more of a reaction to than the other. And she has them 3 weeks apart. So it's 3 weeks, and then she's out of the box for almost a week or a week and a half after each series. Well, she came to me, and her chemo was delayed for some reason by a week, and she started on, you know, the clearing products and all the support products I had put her on. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. One was a powder, you know, a really great powder with lots of vitamins and minerals. And she went to her chemo about 10 days later than she anticipated, and she was in bed only one day after her chemo. So, you know, I mean, she still does not have great color, but that's going to take some time. So I gave her some more nutrients because she's beginning to digest better, and she's feeling a little bit more energy. I had another woman who came in, her cholesterol was in the 300s, had that very pasty, ashy color that people get when, you know, their heart's not getting enough oxygen, much like smokers have. And within the course of, it was 60 days, we redid her blood test. She took her cholesterol. Her triglycerides were in the 400s, her cholesterol was in the 300s, her LDLs, the bad lipids, her total bad lipids were like 289. She was a walking heart attack. She was in her late 40s, and within 60 days, her cholesterol came down to like 215, her triglycerides came down to 140, and her total blood count, her LDLs, came down to 150. Still not perfect, but in the high end of the norms.
Yes.
So within 60 days. So you're seeing foods as therapeutic agents if you really believe what the Bible says, for instance, and you know, look at the Old Testament when they talk about foods in the Old Testament. Honestly, you can heal yourself with foods. Everything we need to heal ourselves is here on this earth. You know, it's all over the place. There's a cornucopia of nutrients. Phytochemicals are like the new kids on the block. That's the green, you know, the green component of plants, and the orange component of fruits, and the red component in fruits contain these chemicals called phytochemicals, PHY. Not phyto, but they do fight.
Well, they do fight, I see.
Right, and now everybody is like encapsulating phytochemicals. Well, if you would just eat a live food diet that's high in nutrients, you would create this arsenal in the body of ammo that is a fighter against, you know, free radical activity and invaders and bacteria and parasites and radiation, which we're exposed to a great deal just because we live in it. You know, bad air, lots of lead in the air.
Lots of lead in the air. That's
Sure.
interesting. That's interesting. There's something about the, or called the food pyramid.
Right.
And I'd like to get your comments on that. What do you think is current? What do you think of the current one? And
The new food pyramid that came out a few years ago,
Yes.
well, I'm in total disagreement with it. I believe it's pretty much upside down, with the exception that they've got sweets and desserts and, you know, our highly processed, refined foods at the very top of the pyramid. Right now, our food, the current food pyramid put out by the ADA shows that Americans, again, should be consuming breads and bagels and pastas and grains. Well, the problem, if you tell an American or most people to consume starch, they'll consume, you know, buns and bagels. They won't consume, you know, organic potatoes with the skin on them and lots of beans and legumes, you know, not out of the can but made fresh. They will not consume whole grain wild rices every day. They consume the starchy stuff that's packaged, the Doritos and the Fritos, and it's fast and it's easy. There's a world of difference in the nutritional status of those two food groups. You know, there are what we call dead foods, there are live foods, and there are deader than dead. They're the robbers. So the live foods are the whole grains and, you know, things that contain a lot of vitamins and minerals. Those should be at the base of the food pyramid, but not at the very bottom. At the very bottom, I would encourage people to consider fruits and vegetables. And the reason for that is because fruits and vegetables, A, are high in fiber, B, they're high in water, C, there was a wonderful study by the American Cancer Society a couple of years ago that showed that if Americans consume 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, they would alleviate the onset of cancer in 86% of the cases.
Oh, that's incredible.
9
Wait a minute,
servings.
Nine servings?
Yes.
9?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's impressive. So how many people eat, you know, 3 pieces of fruit a day and at least 2 to 4 cups of steamed vegetables or 8 cups of raw vegetables? I don't know many.
No, I don't either.
You know, more and more because I'm
Fascinating.
encouraging it, but,
Yeah,
but certainly not, you know, not many because it's too difficult. People are into eating fast and therefore they are sick, more sickly in this society. So at the bottom of the food pyramid, I would put fruits and vegetables. Second to that, I would put lean proteins, not starches.
I see.
I would actually divide it with lean proteins, between lean proteins, and I would put grains over on the other side, like whole grains and potatoes and things like that. Okay? And then I would go ahead and put on, you know, the starches, the doughy starches, and then I would put on the sugary treats. And basically, you base this on what we call the glycemic index of foods. The glycemic index of foods is basically a sugar index that shows you how much nutritional value certain foods have in comparison to others based on sugars. So the lower glycemic foods are vegetables first. They have a glycemic index of 10 to 20. Fruits are 20 to 30. Then our starchy or complex carbohydrates, our whole grains and beans and legumes and rices, are 40, 50, and 60. Okay, then we go up to our bagels and our cereals and our carrots and bananas. Even though they're healthy, they're very high in simple sugar. And those are in the 80s. You know,
I see.
You know, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then we have the 100 plus. Well, the glycemic index is 0 to 100. Now, 100 plus, you know, if you're looking at foods above 60, you're very high in sugar. And those high sugar foods convert to what in the body? Fat.
Absolutely.
So Americans are consuming too many sugars now because they're not consuming any fats or oils, very low protein, and what's left to eat. If you don't do butter and you don't do margarine and you don't do eggs and you don't do beef anymore, you know what's left? Doughy foods.
Doughy foods.
So the food pyramid is upside down.
That's a good point. Now, I noticed you mentioned protein, and I won't get into, you know, protein, who eats it and who doesn't, but tell us about proteins.
Okay.
How important are they? Where should they come from? How much is enough?
Okay, proteins are very important in the diet. At least consider consuming, you know, a good portion for your body size. What I'm saying is Americans are consuming maybe a burger a day. That's absurd. First of all, the quality of that protein is low. So let's talk about the types of protein that are best. The types of protein that are best are what we call high BV value. And those proteins have a high biological value, meaning that they're biologically, biochemistry, biologically very available to the system. The body likes them. With those good high quality proteins, the body can regenerate, heal itself, and repair itself. Your need for protein, Kurt, I may add, goes up, folks, by double to 3 times more when you have any kind of stress or trauma or injury or surgery or sepsis, or if you're a child. So children need more protein, certainly, than adults do for their size. That's first of all. So the good high biological valued proteins are, of course, our fish. Cold water fish are best, or farmed fish are very good. And then our lean chickens and turkeys and very lean beefs. Again, our wild gamey meats are wonderful. Our venison and our duck and our buffalo, anything that runs around and gets exercise in the open, isn't caged and penned in, first of all, is a happy guy. And second of all, you know, that increases good endorphins in the body. And then you also have a hormonally efficient animal that is low in what we call saturated fat and cholesterol. And it has a high percentage of the unsaturated fatty acids, which are very beneficial.
I feel like I'm getting set up here. The way you bring up fats and oils, and I think that's what we need to know about. Tell us about
Did I answer all your questions?
Oils. Yeah, I think actually,
about
where should they, how much is enough?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a very good question. How much is enough? Most people don't consume enough protein. So if you don't eat enough protein or enough of the good raw unsaturated oils, you're going to crave carbohydrates like crazy. Like crazy. You'll be like, give me sugar now. You know, got to have it, got to eat it. So it's really important to eat enough for your own body weight. And I'm 145 pounds, and I would suggest that someone my size consume at least 10 to 12 ounces of protein a day. Okay, so go figure. If a guy's twice my body weight or another, you know, third of my body weight, he should be up around 15 to 16 ounces a day. You know, you can count ounces or grams, that's a lot. You can use protein powders to supplement, but I personally look at eating at least 98 grams of protein a day for a 145-pound person. So, you know, your percentage of muscle to fat, you know, creates some variance there, but for the most part, if you're physically active, I work out cardio 3 days a week, I lift weights 3 days a week. So, you know, I could eat more protein. I could use more. It's just not time, no.
Don't have time.
But I'm doing better than most Americans, and because of that, I don't need to watch my weight as diligently as somebody who does a lot of doughy foods.
Okay.
So, you know, what someone can do actually is this formula. So take out your pens, write this down. You can actually take your own body weight, divide that by 2.2, okay, and take the number that you've divided, multiply it times 1.5, and that will tell you how many grams of protein you need a day. And then you'll take the total number of grams, divide by 7, because there's 7 grams per ounce, and you'll get the number of ounces.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Should I repeat that?
Yes, because I think there's something just got back with a pencil going, what did you say?
What was it? Okay, take your total body weight, divide it by 2.2, and take that number, multiply it times 1.5, and that will give you the total number of grams of protein you should consume a day to put yourself actually in what we call positive nitrogen balance, so you can start building muscle instead of losing muscle. And then you take that total number of grams, divide it by 7, because there's 7 grams in 1 ounce of protein. And you'll have the total number of ounces or grams. So you can look at packages of protein powders, see how many grams you're getting with one drink. If you're getting 23 grams in one glass of protein powder, maybe you want to do that twice a day for 46 grams. There's maybe a third of what you need or half of what you need.
That's really good information.
It's helpful.
Okay. Fats and oils.
Yes.
Tell us about them. I know it was coming up.
Fats and oils.
Fats and oils.
Fat phobia. Everybody's fat phobic in America. Oh, fats.
Can you really blame them though? Every time you look around, low fat this, no fat here, no oil here.
Okay.
Oh, it's incredible.
Good point. Americans, never buy low fat again. Who's going to come after me?
No.
Okay, you never need to spend another dime for anything low fat or non-fat. Okay? Really,
especially
you
if
don't.
you're chasing this good protein that's running up and down the field.
Right. And the reason for that is when you look at the American diet, everyone's missing fats now, and we're seeing all types of essential fatty acid related deficiencies, diseases, chronic health problems, including hypoglycemia, hypothyroid, fibromyalgia, Raynaud's syndrome, which is, that cold tip of the fingers and toes and nose, those types of things. All types of circulatory problems, all types of energy problems are related to missing oils in the diet or essential fatty acids. So the key here is what is an essential fatty acid versus what is a saturated fatty acid. An essential fatty acid is a good, much needed, very necessary, on a daily basis oil that you need to put into your body. And it comes from raw seeds, raw nuts, avocados, olives, and cold water fish. Okay, that's why I tell people you should consume like fish at least 3 or 4 days a week, and consume your animal products 3 days a week, and maybe do a vegetarian day one day, or do beef one day a week, or venison or buffalo one day a week.
I see.
But you need to take these oils in your body every single day. Now, I had a girl who, she's lifting weights. She came in and she's doing really well. She had a lot of health problems. She was young, 32 years old. And she was really nervous about fat. So she came in, she goes, I said, why aren't you consuming any oils? Well, she dropped like a pound in 1 week. And I said, if you're following this diet correctly, you should be dropping at least 2 pounds every week, this protocol that we laid out for her. And she goes, well, I'm really nervous about my fats. And I said, well, first of all, fats are saturated. Oils are unsaturated. Unsaturated fats help you to burn stored saturated fat on your hips, your thighs, your buttocks, da-da-da-da-da-da. So you have to get the unsaturated fatty acids in every single day. I have people consume all of their oils from unsaturated fatty acids, okay, not from saturated fatty acids. So if you consume those unsaturated fatty acids, you're going to be in great shape, but you need at least 30 grams a day. And we're back to grams. How much is a gram? All right. To get 30 grams a day, you would have to consume like a tablespoon of a raw cold-pressed oil. It should be organic, and it should be straight from those raw seeds and nuts we talked about before. That oil should come from walnut, safflower, flaxseed oil. The Essential Balance oil is great. The Udo's oil is great. It's a combination of all those omega-3, 6, and 9s together. Those are the fat burners and the immune boosters.
And that was called Udo's?
Udo and Essential Balance.
And
They're
Essential
both
Balance.
very good.
Okay, all right.
And there's some other ones out there. People are starting to copycat them. So, I mean, these oils you should take in at least 2 tablespoons a day, but 1 tablespoon gives you 14 grams of oil or fat. But it's unsaturated. It's a fat burner, and it increases immunity. It will increase your body temperature. It helps with circulation, helps with digestion, helps with memory, helps with hormone balancing, many things. Okay? So you should do that every day. Now, if you do 1 tablespoon a day, it's only 15 grams of fat. Well, this girl was maybe doing 10, so I pointed out to her, for somebody who doesn't exercise 6 days a week like you need at least 30 to 35 grams of fat a day, or oil, and you're only getting 10 or 15. Why are you doing that? You're exercising like a crazy woman here, so that's okay, but if you're going to do that, you must supplement more. The body needs more. So if you do, say, a tablespoon of raw seeds or nuts, you've got another 5 grams of fat. If you did 6 olives, large olives, there's another 5 grams of fat. If you did a half of an avocado, that's about probably 10 to 12 grams of fat.
I see.
Okay, but they're unsaturated. Now, I have a lot of dietitians telling my clients who work, dietitians work in hospitals,
Yes.
not to eat avocados. They're too high in saturated fat. All you have to do is pull out the Department of Agriculture's, the Nutritional Content of Foods booklet, which is a book we use in undergraduate school. It shows you exactly how much unsaturated poly and monounsaturated fat there is in a food, and it's very obvious to see that a avocado is very, very low in saturated fat, higher in mono and higher in poly. It's a plant. It's a seed.
It's a seed.
Right.
Right.
So it's a healthy, beneficial fat for you. Yes, if you sit down and eat 6 avocados a day, you're probably going to get a little pudgy, but not many people would. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you can't stop eating it, don't start. Or just go and eat it out of the house. Don't keep it at home. So some people tell me they can't stop when they eat seeds and nuts. So I go, well, then don't carry the whole bag with you. Just take a small handful.
That's a good idea.
This little area right here, this little
Yes.
pocket is about a tablespoon.
Surprisingly enough, when you do that, and you had mentioned that on one of the other shows, and I had started doing that because I have a practice and I'm working very long hours, and just a little bit sometimes helps so much. Raisins, nuts.
Sure, pull your blood sugar
Yeah,
up.
it really does, and it feels wonderful. Got to ask you another question. I got lots to get in here, and that is, people are always talking about carbohydrates.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about carbohydrates.
Okay.
I get these crazy athletes and these long distance runners saying, I'm carbohydrate loading.
And all your vegetarians.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, carbohydrates are basically what we call energy food. Now, again, we kind of tapped on this in the beginning of the show here, but there are what we call 3 classifications of foods. They're either, live, or they're dead, or they're highway robbers. They come into your body and they stick you up and take out all your vitamins and minerals. The same goes for carbohydrates. Okay, the little banditos are the bad guys.
I see.
The dead ones are kind of benign, and then we've got the live one. The live carbohydrates are fruits and vegetables, and then our whole grains. And in the order of importance, vegetables are first, fruits are second, and our whole grains, like our rice or potatoes, our beans and legumes, our sweet potatoes, our starchier vegetables, like our corn and our peas, are in that category. They're what we kind of call the healthier foods. If you eat too much of the rices, though, you may have trouble losing weight.
Oh, really?
Okay, yes. I have people come in all the day and they're like, well, I'm only eating 2 cups a day. Well, it's very high in the glycemic index, so it creates more sugar in the body.
Okay.
So even though they're healthy and they're really beneficial, watch them a little bit. Do more of the fruits and vegetables. If you plan your diet, Kurt, to where you're doing 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, that's a lot of eating.
Yes.
That's doing 2 cups of vegetables at lunch and 2 cups of vegetables at dinner and 3 pieces of fruit every day. And then you calculate how many grams of protein you need, and then you calculate how much oil you need. Your diet's set for you. That's not going to leave any room for Fritos and potato chips and buns and things like that.
Oh,
See
I
what I'm
see.
saying? So we really, really want people to consume more of the live carbohydrates. The doughy carbohydrates are pastas and breads and bagels and scones and our colas and our diet
I'm glad you
colas.
reiterated, because this is the trouble that a lot of vegetarians run into.
Right.
They start implementing the doughy foods because they're starving.
Well, sure, and they're
And,
easy and they're fast, but they're not the answer because they bring to the table no nutritional value. Anything that is processed, Kurt, it's in a bag, it goes off to the laboratory to be changed from its original constituency. It is no longer a live food. And those live foods contain very little to no nutritional value. They will not nourish your cells. They will not heal your system. They will not regenerate and help you birth healthy new cells.
I see.
Okay, so you have to look at the percentage of liveness in your diet versus deadness or doughiness. Okay, and then you've got the very high processed foods that have additives, chemicals, coloring agents like your Fritos and your wheat thins and your Triscuits with the hydrogenated oils. And then you go beyond that and go to low-fat Entenmann cookies and cakes and candies and snacks and those fat-free
These are biblical
yogurts.
foods, right?
Those fat-free yogurts are a big hit with women, and you know what? They're all sugar. So if you're
Really?
eating all sugar,
Whoa, back up.
what?
The fat-free yogurts are
All
sugar?
Absolutely. Or they're fake
rain
sugar.
on my parade. And
Yes.
oh my goodness, that's interesting.
Well, you know
I know
what?
half of America just went, what?
Let's pay attention to this real quick.
Yes.
A food is either a protein, a fat, or a carbohydrate.
Okay.
There are delegations within each of those foods. So it's a lean protein or it's a highly saturated protein. It's going to be a lean fat or oil, or it's going to be a highly saturated oil like margarine or butter or dairy products. It's going to be a lean carbohydrate, or it's going to be a fattening carbohydrate that's high in sugar. So anything that has the fat taken out of it is going to be replaced with sugar or with sodium, or a sugar substitute, which even though it is a fake sugar, will be converted by the liver to a sugar because it most relates to a sugar. It looks to the body, to the liver, like a sugar molecule. So it's not like, you've been changed in the laboratory, so you're not going to be fattening. It's like, kind of looks like a sugar molecule, so hey, it is. And if you don't need that excessive energy or sugar in the body, your body stores it as fat.
That's incredible.
So
I
watch your frozen yogurts.
Sneak in some education here, and I learned something. All right, I got to go quickly, but I want to know about water, minerals, and vitamins.
Okay, how important are they?
Yes.
Water, if you don't have water, you can't break down your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And Americans are water deficit. Most people consume coffee and sodas and count that as their liquid. Not so. Juices do not count. Juices are very high in that glycemic index, by the way. They're in the 90s and 100s, so they're all sugar. Even if they're natural and organic, it's all processed. When you lose the fiber in fruits, you lose the available complexity of it. So water is important. I tell people you need to consume at least 8 cups a day, and that's pure water. We're not talking lemonade with sugar added to it or teas and things like that. Pure water. Your body is 70% plus of water. If you don't drink water, you're recycling all your toxins. It's like using dirty dishwater over and over again, washing your dishes in it every night. You don't want to keep washing your cells in dirty water. Okay, you need fresh, clean water to purify, cleanse, and detoxify, and to transport your nutrients.
That settles well. You can see that, in your mind. That's so good.
And vitamins and minerals are not in place of a healthy diet. They are to supplement an otherwise an optimal diet, but you must have the food present for the vitamins and minerals to work. So let's say you have a cup of coffee at breakfast and a bagel. Now, what's in the bagel? Negligible amounts of nutrients at all. There's nothing in coffee. It's a carcinogenic, toxic chemical. It's a drug. It's in the PDR. So here you have something that has no nutritional value. You're taking a handful of B vitamins, some C's, and you have nothing for those vitamins or minerals to jump on board as a choo-choo train to transport those vitamins and minerals to their call, their place of need in the body. So don't take vitamins and minerals unless you're eating foods to utilize them well. How's that?
Well, that's great, and we're kind of pressed for time, but why don't you tell me something about the typical American diet, or tell us something you like. It stinks. Okay, good.
Do more live food, folks, and you'll be there.
Live foods, okay.
Yes,
My
absolutely.
goodness. One quick, how can a balanced diet benefit those suffering from obesity?
Well, if you start balancing those proteins to fats and carbohydrates, energy goes up and weight goes down.
That's great.
Simple as that.
That's great. You know,
It's easy.
the way you express things and the visualizations are just wonderful. I appreciate that. This is a wrap.
It's always fun to be here.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, there we go again with another wonderful show with Deborah Arneson and myself, your host, Kurt Hill, who probably won't be eating yogurt and drinking coffee and stuff anymore. Good night. Thank you so much.